Today, what I'm trying to share with all of you, hopefully you can have some takeaway from here, is mainly how to manage multi-marketplaces, as everybody right now is taking on e-commerce with all the e-marketplaces. And I think the next part of it will be more on how are we going to go across border, how are we going to sell beyond the Singapore shore. I think before that, right, I think many of us will always think that, okay, I want to go on to many e-marketplaces, Lazada, Shopee, Q10, Amazon, eBay. And at the end of the day, we always will ask ourselves a question. I think, how many people do we need? Can my existing staff do all the necessary management of these marketplaces? What do they need to handle? Very easy. A lot of business owners will always tell me, very easy, just handle the front end. But I think the e-commerce part is not just uploading the images, uploading the product, it's also about how people can find you, what is your product or brand visibility, stuff like that. Can one person do it? Can they manage the store in terms of marketing? What about the creative? Yeah. And after, if customer buy, how do I get the stocks? How does my warehouse will have a trigger when to pick and pack? Stuff like that. So, and of course, after sales, post sales, I need customer engagement. Would they call me in the middle of the night? So I think by and large, a lot of us will always set the timing as after 6, right? Then of course, we'll call you the next day, or we reply you the next day. I think this is a very common question and a common scenario, I would say, in many companies. Today, what I will share is a little bit about ourselves, a short little introduction, and some of the good practices. And Synagie is actually a pre-approved vendor for this MEP program by ESG, a multi-channel e-commerce platform program, which come with government support. And with now, right, there's an enhanced support to 90%. All right, Synagie we founded this company in 2014. At that time, what we wanted to do was help a lot of companies in terms of managing their e-commerce. And at that time was the time where a lot of companies started to look into the online business. How do I go on that? At that time, Q10 was, I think, the major one. Lazada just came on board. And everybody want to go on board this online business. But at the end of the day, they face the challenge of, I think the first thing is, how many people should I hire? What kind of credential, what kind of experience do I need these people to have? Even when I hire, how can they manage? Do they need to go for training? Which area should they be trained? So this is one of the many considerations that a lot of companies have to make. And therefore, one of my co-founder found this opportunity to say that, hey, let's set up this business to help the company. So since then, right, we have more than 300 brands that has been with us, providing to end-to-end, from business development to marketing solutions, supply chain, customer engagement, and of course, at the end of the day, can the data help us? Can the transaction help us to further assess or evaluate and strategize to have a better cost-efficient kind of campaign? To date, we have more than 139 up to date staff around the region. And we do know that with all these brands, right, they will want to go beyond the Singapore shore. And going beyond the Singapore shore, there's a lot of challenges. Therefore, we actually set up our presence in all the 6 markets right now. Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and also for Hong Kong. Hong Kong will be the so-called hub, right, to manage the other markets around that region, like Taiwan, Hong Kong themselves, or even China. And we were so-called featured in January newspaper as the #1 fastest growing tech company in Singapore, with annual compound annual growth rate of 340%. And only last month we were ranked #4 in Asia Pacific. I think a lot of us will always ask, e-commerce, is there a process? I think it's very simple, right? I just list my product, and then I wait for sales to come in. Online, everybody go online. People sure can find me, you know. But a lot of time, I heard on the ground a lot. I set up this for how long, but somehow no sales, or maybe a very mediocre kind of response. Not even have views, you know. What do we need? Actually, what kind of process should we look into? I think the whole entire value chain in terms of e-commerce, right? Importantly, is you should still talk about business. You still need to know what are the solutions out there that can help you. What are the ideas? What are the opportunities? Because if you go on e-marketplaces, right, there's a lot of opportunity that they will design. Example, like now after the mid 618, right? The mid-year festival, the kickstart. Now they are talking about warehouse sales already, the 7/7, you know, things like that. So these are opportunity, but again, opportunity that land on our laps, right? What are we going to do? What can we design? What should we design? You know, and then are there terms or not? Because a lot of time when they come campaign all this, they say campaign we just participate, but it's not the case. You see, there's a lot of criteria, you know, some requirement that we need. So how do we do it? And most of the time, this will come at the maybe certain time will come at the 11th hour. And when we talk about training, you know, like I mentioned earlier on, when your staff join you, what kind of training should I send them to? There's so many training out there. Even there's Lazada onboarding training, Lazada marketing training, Q10 onboarding training, Q10 marketing training. So when they are trained, right, then when come back to the workplace, can they apply? You know, so this is something that I think the management, I think the company or the management have to look into. Yeah. Then we talk about channel management. There's so many channels that we need to manage. Yeah. What kind of product assortment? What kind of price strategy should I go in? Every channel there's tools behind. What kind of tools to use for certain reason? Lazada, they have tools. Q10, they have tools. Q10 very simple. They have Q cash. Even you buy, you top up your Q cash. How are you going to spend? They will ask you to spend the Q cash on keyword search. What kind of keywords to buy? You know, things like that. So these are things that is important to look into. And then when you talk about account, we got so many accounts. How are we going to plan? How are we going to plan? What kind of promo? I think by and large, all the major campaign, I think all the three big boys, right, will always have the kind of system or tools to help you to drive traffic. But how are you going to plan? Are you going to have consistency with among all the channel? Or am I going to sell cheaper in Q10 but more expensive in Lazada? It doesn't work that way. Yeah. How am I going to run my campaign, stuff like that. And content development. I must say content development is always a challenge. I will share some of the best practices later. Content development, if you are, some of you are retailers. I mean, in the offline retail front, right, you need to do good visual merchandising. You need to have good merchandising standard. Yeah, but online, what kind of visual merchandising standard must I have? Merchandising standard on online basis, right? It's basically an on-site merchandising, and at the end of the day, it's all about product thumbnails. Yeah, your homepage banner, your promo banner, yeah, your story, how you're going to tell your story, your brand story, you know, things like that. And then when you have the content, and how are you going to amplify the content? Yeah, but I think before that, right, before amplifying the content, I think content development is always a challenge. What do you need? How are you going to start building your content? Yeah. Next will be, of course, a marketing solution. On site, on the e-marketplaces, there's a lot of marketing solution out there. Recently, Lazada launched their affiliated marketing, their sponsored search. Even they launched a sponsored search. So they have all these marketing solution. How are you going to do it? But are we going to just leverage only on the e-marketplaces marketing solution? If you ask me, I would say no. I think every brand, right? Every one of you, you have your own brand story, you have your own company vision, mission. You will want to build your own community. I think a lot of you has been has witnessed a lot of live streaming nowadays. But what kind of live streaming should we do? Are we going to just use live streaming to just sell? Now you buy now, you got 10-20% discount. This used to be $100. If you buy now in this live streaming, you buy at $10. Are you going to do that? Or are you going to tell the story? Are you going to have a third party to talk about your brand? Yeah, that's why nowadays an influencer is someone that we want to talk to, we want to engage, we want them to promote our brand, and not the macro, maybe the nano or the micro, where they are the user of the product. So when you have this group of people, how are you going to manage these people? Yeah, this is also another area that we have to look into. So once you have a big group of fans or followers to your social media, how are you going to do your community engagement? Yeah, your community management, the good and bad feedback, stuff like that. And when they come to your stocks, yeah, of course you need your warehouse. Or when are you going to start procuring? Do you have demand planning? Once you have the sales, how much am I going to procure from overseas? I think a lot of us buy a lot of stocks from overseas. We are maybe the the appointed distributor. We are maybe the sole agent, and of course we need to buy from the principal, maybe overseas. How much to procure? When to procure? So how are we going to do our demand planning? Yeah, how are we going to do our forecast? How are we going to plan for campaign? What kind of volume? Should I times 3 months? Should I times 4 months or what? And pick and pack. Of course, this is important on e-marketplaces. There's this thing called SOT, ship on time. Every seller has a rating, right, on their ship on time. They are very particular in this. So consistently, if you don't ship on time, what happened? Yeah, of course, they will delist your product and reinstate when you are able to meet good ratings, right? Then value add. Do we need to have value add? I think yes. A lot of our brand that we manage, right? They do physical bundle to attract their customer, the new client, and at the same time also try to move more product. Because online, if you want to sell one SKU alone, sometimes it can be very expensive in terms of cost. So what we do is, can we do bundle deals? Can we do bundle by volume, bundle by cross product? What can we do? So physical bundle or virtual bundle. So these are things that we also have to look into. And of course, after you got the sales, after you pick and pack, and then you label it, and then of course, at the end of the day, it's all about fulfillment. And if you've got overseas customer, how are you going to do cross-border drop shipping? Are you allowed to do that? What is the value? Yeah, what is the value can I ship to this customer? When you talk about cross-border drop shipping, it can be B2B, then you have to do product registration. B2C, yes, no need, but you need to meet certain criteria. Your total value of that order cannot exceed certain value. Then if you want to do direct importation, what kind of documentation that you need to do in order for your stock to be in the country so that you are able to do domestic fulfillment. Yeah. And of course, very importantly is customer engagement. I think the customer journey right now is very, very different from those days, my days maybe. Yeah, where customer will see advertisement, TV commercial. Customer will look at newspaper advertisement, or maybe while they are driving, they hear radio announcement. So they will try to find the brand or the product that they heard or they have seen. Yeah, so this is what they do. Or friends recommendation. Then of course they go to shopping mall and browse and try to find. But I think the customer journey right now is very, very different. First thing, let's say, hey, come, let's go for lunch later. Of course, the first thing that we will do, right, we'll pick up our phone and ask each and every one of us, what kind of cuisine? Should we take Japanese or Chinese? If we take Japanese, then they will search Japanese restaurant near us. So the customer journey right now start online, and which is from the mobile phone, yeah, to find even food, this and all that. So your online presence become very important. So joining the, when you list your product on e-marketplace, right on the traffic, is always something that is advisable to do. But how are you going to write that on the traffic? And make sure that your online presence is there. So when people search, right, you can appear maybe on the first page. Yeah. So that's important. That's the customer journey. So when they found you, that's a time where you need to give them a very compelling reason why they need to pay attention to your product. Not buy yet, no, just pay attention to your product. Once you attracted them, the next thing is what are you going to do, right, to make them pay attention to the product that you have showcased to them. So the attention is important. Catch their attention and then make them look at your product, and perhaps ask for more information. Yeah, and after that, and of course, is add to cart or and purchase and make the payment. Yeah, but after they make the payment, after they have made the purchase, what's the next thing that you want to do? You still go back online and engage them, because you want to know from them how they feel about your product. Is the service, is the delivery ideal? Have they received the goods in good condition? Stuff like that. And after that, you might want them to put in reviews after they use your product. If not reviews, but at least ratings. Because all the time when we search, right, even when we go overseas, when we search for hotels, things and all that, we will also search that, okay, this hotel have what kind of reviews. Even the price is cheap, right? I will look at how many stars, or have people put in reviews. I will read the reviews, their experience in their stay in that hotel. So this is very, very superly important right now. So at the end of the day, it's not just sell. It's all about customer engagement, pre and post sales, especially the post sales, because you want them to come back. You want them to refer. You want them to share with their friends around them. And last but not least, the whole entire value chain, right? It's all talking about, government is talking about data. Every day you flip newspaper, people talking about data, big data. How are we going to use data? Online, you only have data when people purchase. So you go back to earlier on when I mentioned, you have to build your own community. How you going to build your own community? There's many ways. You can have loyalty programs, stuff like that. So you build the loyalty program that you consistently engage them even without them buying. Okay, on the e-marketplaces, you can have the data only when they buy. What about those people who browse and never buy? So I think there are things that we have to look into, like loyalty programs, CRM system that will help you to do that, which now government is also putting in a lot of effort to assist company to take on certain pre-approved program to help them to further optimize their whole entire customer journey. And then at the end of the day, what are we going to do with the data? So I think next will be the difficulty in managing multi-channel. I think these are some of the very common questions that on a day-to-day basis. Even before this seminar, I already had a number of phone calls that asking same kind of question. Yeah, they face difficulty in managing multi-channel because every channel has their own backend. So if you're going to manage 4 channels, then you have to manage 4 backends. Then how am I going to do that? And of course, team structure. What kind of team structure? Can I use my existing staff? Do I need to hire more people? And then when I hire, how do I structure this team? And what was the right people to hire? Frankly, if you ask me, there's never a right people to hire. It's the person who are passionate in your goals, in the roadmap that you have actually designed for your company in terms of online business. And these people are passionate enough and have the right attitude to come in and do and learn at the same time. Because I have to be very, very honest with you, right? Online business is an ongoing learning process. It's never learn now and that's it. No, it is always a learning process. This morning, I just learned something new that I have to execute. Yeah. I have to design something to execute. And also the next thing is training. I think the ongoing training is very, very important. So I think to answer the first question is always good. I think there are a lot of platform out there, cloud-based platform out there. for you guys to subscribe and use it yourself, to DIY yourself, to go through the whole entire end-to-end the value chain that I just shared with you guys. You know, that the one system that can connect to multi-channel, so that what you need to do is to go onto only one back-end system instead of going into multi-channel. Yeah. So this is something that you can look into. Yeah. And when you come to team structure, yeah, of course, the people who do the front end will be on the more on the business development, because he needs to do your product assortment. He needs to understand what kind of margin do I have. Therefore, I can plan what kind of promo, what are the product is going to obsolete, what are the new range coming in, and then when I want to clear stocks, or when I want to deplete my stocks, which channel should I use? You should have a person to do that. And then when we have plan that, and then how are you going to execute? Yeah. Then of course, marketing. You can have one person, or you can outsource to an agency. The person who are going to create your manage, develop your creative, and even manage your creative. And of course, not only creative, what about the content? Nowadays, content it's not just about keyword search and writing a lot of articles. Nowadays, people don't read articles. They look at videos, short video. Yeah. But again, article is still important, because search. Everybody need to search. They don't search by video, having a video clip there. They still key in words to search. So article is still important. Keyword is still important. But you want to get the attention of the potential customer, right? And our content is important in terms of video right now. And then how are you going to amplify your content? Which channel should I amplify? Should I amplify on YouTube? Should I go on Facebook? Should I go on IG? You know, should I go on Google? You know, things like that. So these are things that we also have to consider. And do you have a team to do that? And of course, your supply chain part, which is most of the time your warehouse manager, you know, your delivery man, stuff like that. Is one van good enough? Is three person in the warehouse enough? So do I need to buy more vehicles? One vehicle easily you need to have one cargo hand and one driver. Yeah. But can you afford that? So things like that you have to consider. This is another team. But of course, now you also have to think about customer engagement. Am I going to have the same person who manage the channel engage the customer? Do I outsource to a call center? Can the call center do it for me? How much does the call center know about my product? You know, so these are all the questions that you will ask yourself. Okay, and then at the end of the day, do you have of course, this will most of the time for SME, right, will be the senior management, the bosses themselves, with the data collected. How am I going to measure? How am I going to evaluate? What kind of business intelligence structure do I need to have in order for me to strategize? You know, things like that. So I think by and large, right, and in a very simple way to put it, I think this is the kind of structure that we should be looking at. Of course, when we talk about business enabling, right, it's all about creating opportunity, and it's always an ongoing kind of things in the long term. You cannot stop. You cannot create one opportunity and you stop there. So this is something that we have been doing for longest time, since 2014, and we realized that this is a cycle that we have to go through. First thing, you need to discover. You need to discover ideas. You know, you need to find the space. You need to get the knowledge, the industry knowledge. If you have data, that's the best. Then after you identify all this, how are you going to align to your business objective? How are you going to align to your product strategy? How are you going to align to your price strategy? You still go back to the 4 Ps, right? And then, of course, how are you going to, are your teammates going to put in the recommendation or the proposal? And once that is approved, right, then of course you go into planning. Yeah, plan the marketing plan, and make sure that you stand by all your operation people, the warehouse. You make sure that your stocks has to. You must have ample stock. You don't want to oversell, and then you don't have stock, and customers start to cancel their order. And then the next thing, after all this plan has been done, right, then of course it's all waiting to execute. Do we have the people to execute? Then after execution, then of course you need to do some to do the post-mortem to evaluate the performance and go around again for the next move, for the next campaign or something like that. I think there are many, when you talk about online business, even going on e-marketplaces, right? I believe myself that these are some of the very common areas that a lot of company, either they neglected or they are not even aware of. Yeah. I call them the 7 Ps. All right, of course, know the 4 Ps in basic principle of marketing, the 4 Ps, right? But I think I do deeper into that is when you talk about product, what is the right assortment? Last week, right, I was having a meeting with one of the essential product seller, right? Then of course to sell one bottle of shampoo, right, it's very expensive. He might be losing money. The margin that you need to give to the e-marketplace, the commission, the delivery fee, this and all that. So then we say we have to bundle. So of course the easiest way is to bundle, because his one carton made of inside one carton he has 12 bottles. So of course the easiest way and the cheapest way is to sell do a carton sales and sell one carton of 12 bottles. So I asked them a question: will people buy 12 bottles of shampoo? So these are things that we have to ask ourselves. What is the right assortment? And when you want to promote your product, what is the right kind of attributes? What is the right attributes to talk about? Of course, a lot of time we talk about very easy. My product description is as such, so I put it there. No, there's this thing called PDP, product description page, which is very, very, very important on e-marketplaces, the channel like Lazada, Q10, or Shopee. Once you have good description, right, you will beef up your content score. So once you have a good content score, the system, right, will recognize that and they will drive traffic to you. It's as simple as that. Then we talk about place. What is the channel? I want to do cross-border? How? What methodology? What kind of option is available? What should I do? Should I do door to door? Should I pick and pack in Singapore and deliver to the doorstep of a customer in Malaysia? So how do I do it? Do I import my stocks? Yeah. Then official store. Yeah, it's very easy. Then how am I going to merchandise? How am I going to dress up my shop? Then what about the price? What is the right price? Don't forget, there's always campaign that you need to do on the channel. And every time when you do campaigns, right, you need to reduce your price. Then one day when you reach 11.11, can you go lower? So this is always the question that we ask ourselves. By the time 11.11 come, can you go lower? You can't. So what is the right price to do? What is the right thing to do? Should I play with product, or should I just go across the board and have a good discount? And of course, a promotion, GWP, flash sales is important. You need to conduct a lot of flash sales on most of the channel, giving away voucher. How am I going to give away voucher? And of course, the people. What kind of people do you have? What kind of team structure, which I shared earlier on? Do you have that kind of team structure, or if you don't have, do you work with partners? Yeah, I think in this day and age, right, we cannot do everything ourselves. So we need to have partnership. So how are we going to find this partner, right? And what is the right process? What is the right SOP? If you don't have a right SOP, right, most of the time you are not cost efficient. So you spend a lot of money there doing recovery, doing crisis management. And if you don't meet the right SLA, yeah, the service level agreement with the channel, something happened to you, what are you going to do? Do we have the relationship with them to tell them that, hey, please help me to reinstate first? I will show you that I will improve. How are you going to do that? Yeah. But I have just found something that I earlier on shared, right, about community building. This community building will help you, your company, also to build persona, a different type of persona that will buy your product. So with persona, right, you can do very targeted marketing. Yeah. And then of course the marketing investment will not be wasteful. It will be more optimized. Yeah, things like that. So with all these are the 7 Ps that I will always share that we have to look into. And you can see there's a lot of question mark there. Yeah. Then of course we talk about store operation. we talk about store design. Once your store design is nice, you have very super good #1 top designer in Singapore. So what is design the main thing? No, you can see on the left side, right? Like Lazada, they have power of 5. What is power of 5? They specifically build all these channel tools for you to use so that you are able to, once you are able to optimize the tools, right, it's going to help you a lot in terms of driving traffic. So what is Lorry Kit? What should I do? How can I optimize this? IM is instant messaging. Yeah, of course. Product PDP, product description page, campaign page, promotion page, so these are things that we have to be very mindful of, and we have to work on it very closely. And each and every time when they change or upgrade the version or they introduce new tools, what are we going to do? Yeah. Evaluate. How are we going to evaluate the sales that come in? BAU, business as usual. What kind of sales? And then when there's a small little campaign that I have participated, so what is the search? What's the percent? And a mega campaign or A+ campaign that I participated, is there a real big search? And then this is the sales part of it. Before sales, let's talk about traffic. Has whatever I done earlier on that I shared, right, attract people to come in. So have they have all this design, your store design, this and all that, or your PDP, your product description page that have your product description, the product info has done so well that I have attracted a lot of traffic. And then when you look at the traffic, you don't just say traffic then conversion. And look at the traffic stay how long? Will the traffic stay there long enough or not? I think you can ask a lot of retailer. When I was in retail, right, I always tell my staff, I can drive the traffic to your store. You guys jolly well make the customer stay longer in the store, right? But I think nowadays retail also quite sad. Even each and every time when I walk into the store, I think the retail assistant or the sales, the store manager or whoever, the store supervisor, will just ask me one simple question: sir, how can I help you? Then when I say, let me browse around, he said, okay, then he walk away. So therefore, at the end of the day, will the customer stay longer? So the customer engagement is important, because after this, you still need to make sure that the merchandisers in your store, be it online, offline, must catch their attention. Once they catch their attention, the chances of them paying for these stocks, right, is very high. So do you have this data to evaluate, and of course, to move forward? Next, of course, the best practices of some of the material, the creative. How are we going to manage the creative? Why I put the offline here? Today, are we talking about online? Not forgetting the offline. Okay, offline is equally very important, because that is the customer experience, the experiential part of it. So if you have the offline store and you are doing online, how synchronized, how consistent are you? Are you going to see something, same product offline, a different way of presentation versus the online presentation? Are you going to do that? Are you going to synchronize? Are you going to be the same? Branding, of course, the keywords is consistency. How consistent are you? Yeah. So when you are online, what kind of marketplace artwork that you need? Yeah. What kind of social advertising that you need? What kind of creative? How to cover the key touch point, Then we talk about assets, creating your own assets, because you need to carry out the brand message, your brand message. Online, you're reading now, is people looking at your visuals, reading your articles. So what kind of assets that you need to create, thousands of assets that you need to create to carry out your brand message, in the different marketplaces. You need to do that. I have a lot of SME merchant giving me a lot of headaches because they do not have good assets. So therefore, we need to build. That's why government acknowledge this, and in the MEP, right, there's this thing called content development where the government is supporting. I think this is the very first time in my career that I see them supporting this area, you see. So this creating of assets is very, very important, because this is all about your brand. Yeah. Storytelling. Am I going to just feature product stocks, your product packaging, your product thumbnail? No, you need to come up with a lot of compelling content. This is what I talked about earlier on about content development. Because it's all about storytelling, telling the true story. So am I going to tell the story, or am I going to engage someone, a third party, to tell my story which carry more weight? And then once I want to tell story, will people listen? What kind of story do I want to tell? The before and after, or what? So I think creating compelling content is very, very important, because this is only going to help you to boost up your online presence. This is what I mentioned earlier on. The online presence is important. The more content you have online, the higher the chances of people are able to find you. Yeah. Then with the content you have, are you going to do content marketing? Are you just going to do native advertising? Are you going to just do native content, just post it there and hope that people read? Or are you going to embark on all the channels like the e-marketplaces, their affiliate marketing? You know, are you going to hire influencer, or are you going to do live streaming? But nowadays, I see a lot of live streaming, especially now during season, right? A lot of people are selling durians. How are they going to sell? They're just basically selling that, okay, now you buy from me, it's cheaper. Now my durian is better quality. But are we going to do that for our brands? Are we going to do that for our product? Then the next thing, once you have content, you need to go on platform to amplify it. Yeah, of course, marketplace is one place that you can amplify your content. You need to have a place to shout about your content, to talk about your content, to share about your content. During my time is when I have a good content, right? Then I will do what? I will advertise on TV. Yeah, I will advertise on radio. I will advertise on newspaper, advertise on magazine. But now it's all about online. Yeah, even magazine, they have go online now. So how do I amplify my content? Which platform should I use? Marketplace, Facebook, Google, organic social, or community management? Of course, marketplaces has their own marketing solution for you to actually amplify the content that you have, so that you are able to ride on the traffic and drive traffic to your store and in the marketplaces. The next thing is always asking ourselves about, like my boss will ask me, you have launched a campaign for these brands. How successful is a campaign? A lot of time I have this triangle. How's your communication? Whatever I share earlier on, right, is a lot about communication. How is the sharing of your brand message impactful? Yeah. Have I shared with the right target audience? Have I go on the right channel talking in the right language? Yeah. What kind of medium mix have I used? Or I just use Facebook? Have I used IG? Have I used Google? Have I used YouTube? Has any one of you know that YouTube is actually under Google? So when you talk to Google, you can talk about YouTube as well. Yeah. Have I done that? And then of course the timing. 11:11, are you still early? You know, so it's still early to do things. No, 11:11. In fact, now you have to start working on it right now to have a good 9:9, so that you will have a good 11:11. So before that, right now what should I do? What should I do to build that momentum for the algorithm to work towards our advantage when it comes to 9:9 and 11:11? Because system is system. Okay, system still need to build a momentum. You cannot wait till 11:11, 2 weeks before, 1 month before, then you start to do your exposure, to build your online presence. I think it's too late. So there are things that you need to build. It's the same thing when you set up your own website. Everybody struggle when they set up their own e-commerce website. The complaint is always not enough traffic, even though they have spent money on SEO, spend money on SEM. Why? Yeah, so there are things that you need to build the momentum, and hopefully this thing will snowball, and eventually you will have the kind of natural traffic that comes to you. Of course, the next thing is about the supply chain operation. I think supply chain is all about productivity and efficiency. Connectivity, how are you going to connect one system to multi areas? Front end is channel, middle, of course, the warehouse, and then of course the last mile vendors. Then how are you going to optimize whatever you have right now? And in terms of supply chain, how feasible, how much can you see when there's problem? How are you going to tackle immediately? You know, and how automated is your whole entire process. And this part here, government is promoting a lot of automation. When I say automation, it doesn't mean that you take people away, because when you have automation, number one, your staff will not face a lot of problem. Your staff will not do extra step. Okay, your staff will stay longer with you, because automation will help your staff as well in terms of productivity and efficiency for themselves, not just for the company. So when that happen, right, staff will likely to be happy and stay longer. And when talk about fulfillment, the value chain versus technology, right? Of course, the front part, do we have a system to connect to all the channel? Do we have a system to do virtual bundling? Because it's very expensive to have every bundle to be a physical bundle. How are you going to customize promotion? Once the order comes in, is there a seamless approach in terms of printing the airway bill? Customize the packaging, and eventually how you're going to deliver and whether your delivery is trackable. So all these are, every channel has their system. So how am I going to manage this? Next, I'm going to share more about how am I going to sell beyond the Singapore shore. The question is, your different market have different requirements. I think Malaysia easier. I think Malaysia easier because the culture very close and they are closer to us. Yes and no. Malaysia also has their own sets of house rule for us to follow. Yeah. Then when you want to go overseas, let's not talk about China yet. A lot of question, a lot of time ask me, Gordon, I want to go China. So I say, are you ready? Even in Singapore. So when you go to China, right, yes, it's a very, very big market, okay, with huge population. There are also huge competition. How can people find you? That's the question. Do you have enough money to spend on all the digital media? A lot of time people talk about WeChat. I spend on WeChat, can already, because very easy. I can set up my own official account, 公众号. But is that all? How are you going to get the follower? When you get the follower, will the follower buy? And when they buy, how are you going to send over? Which is this part, cross-border. Do we have the cross-border network? We do have a lot of partner. Singapore, there's a lot of company that can provide a cross-border solution, like Janio Logistic, like even Ninja Van. All these people can help you. Yeah. And then if you want to go over there, you want to send your stocks over there to do domestic fulfillment. Do you need to set up a company? If I don't want to set up a company, because setting up a company in a different region can take a while and it's not very easy. It's very, very tough. So how can I do that? Do I work with a partner there? So these are things that you have to consider. So once you have that, do you have a system to integrate and make sure that it's a seamless approach as well? Because you want to have a system where you are able to manage the inventory in different regions, in different markets. Customer engagement, I think these are the best, the thing that the fundamentals, I would say, that customer engagement we must have. Yeah, of course, the instant messaging, which most of the channel already have. But how are you going to support that? How are you going to talk about that? And when you talk to them, right, when you chit chat with them, how are you going to get them to respond by putting in reviews and rating? Ask question responses. How fast are you? How are you going to fit in the responses? Yeah. Customer engagement. How are you going to get more followers? When they buy, how can I engage them and talk to them in terms of refer to friends or refer to your relative and friends beside them? How to do service recovery when we have sent the wrong product, or when they receive it and it's defective, or they don't like the service. Okay, how are we going to do that? Yeah. And then when you have done all the necessary things, right, do you have data again to see which area that you need to improve? Do we have a lot of return packaging because of the packaging problem, because the product got problem? Do we have a lot of that? What is the number versus the number of transactions that you have? Do we have this for you to even measure yourself? Which area should I tackle? Should I beef up? Should I improve? And then do you have all these numbers, right, to measure the customer behavior? What kind of behavior kind of customer do you have? So therefore, you can plan something. Your marketing people will plan something. Then when you talk about cross-border, right? Then of course you have different languages. Do you have support on selling to Malaysia? People talk in Malay because you have Malay people there. Yeah. Then about how about Mandarin? In Philippines, you sell to Philippines, you need people to talk that language. How about Vietnamese? So these are things that we have to look into. Do we engage a cost center there, or do we have to manage ourselves, because we do have different nationality working in Singapore, or even Singapore PR. So do we want to engage these people, or do we outsource to a cost center? I think last but not least is all about business analytic solution. Because when you have all the data, you have all the the data. What are you going to do? Because at the end of the day, you still have to strategize. What happened to this? When this data is going to tell you what happened. This data is going to tell you or help you to even preempt what kind of forecast. Like demand planning. Does your system has this demand planning part of it? When you do forecast, then is there a market? Is there a trend for you to increase your stocks when it come to campaign? Yeah, what kind of formula should I take on in terms of measuring, in terms of procurement? When I procure for 11/11, should I do it now? Should I do it when? This and all that. So I think data is very important. The next thing is how am I going to get data from people who didn't purchase anything from my channel. So I think all of you also have to really look into how am I going to build my own community. I think that one is very, very important. Don't forget the conventional way of doing survey, focus group, quantitative, qualitative survey, all these still in place, even though everything now go digital or online. I think don't forget some of the things that we used to do. When you have members, right, it's easy for you to do a referral program. When you have members, right, it's easy for you to do focus group because you want to know more, because you are launching a new product. You don't know how to launch. You want to know more, want to have more insights. So I think data will always help you. And how can I have data at one glance? This is something that I think everyone, every company has to really strive towards towards getting data at one glance. Gone were the days where we will find data all over the place, and then we will come up with our own business intelligence. Then we evaluate. Then after that evaluate, then we come up with a plan. Nowadays, the data will straight away give you a lot of answers. Straight away, you will do strategy already. I think this is important area that we have to look into. Do visit ESG website, because there's a lot of program, a lot of good vendor out there for you to look into this area as well. And there's now a lot of support in this area. So this is the last part. I come to this multi-channel e-commerce platform solution, which is a pre-approved solution by Enterprise Singapore. This particular package, right, is actually to help a SME to sell across border, okay, through different marketplaces. But having said that, right, we also need to ensure that brands has to start their online business journey before they go overseas. Can you imagine that you have not started any online business in Singapore, and you're saying that you want to start an online business in Malaysia? So when people search, right, they can't even find you online, right, in Singapore. So do they have the consumer over there will not have the confidence to buy your product? So the whole intention of this this package that we designed for ESG to approve, right, is to help you to go across border. Next will be the breakdown. This package is a pre-approved package. So the whole entire package right now is 20,000 for the whole entire package. And this package is like a prepaid package. That means you already paid for. Then whatever expenses are incurred, right, then we will draw down from the credits. Give you example like channel distribution, 2,000, okay? Channel distribution is like paying the channel commission and payment fee. Okay, for example, now you somebody buy from Q10 $100 of your product, and you need to pay $10 commission and payment fee or whatever to them, to Q10. Okay, so this $10 can draw down from the credit. Yeah. Content development, you need to build your content. You have very weak content. You go online, people can't find you. You can't get good visibility on your product. So you want to develop content. So you can use this package. So whatever expenses to develop the content, right, we can draw down from this credit. Channel management is that if we are going to manage all the channel for you, and also do all the uploading, the management of the channel, planning of promotion, planning of campaign. These are the things that we will do for you, and also we will draw down from the credit. And of course, so and so forth, like the marketing solution. If you want to buy Q cash, $100 there, take the $100, and we will draw down from here. Warehouse management, delivery, and fulfillment. All this will be drawn down from the credit. Yeah, and if you sign now, right, between 1st April to 30th September, the grant this pre-approved package, the grant is of 70% is increased to 90%. So you do not need to pay 6,000. You only need to pay 2,000. As this is a pre-approved package, once you pay 2,000, we can start work already, because the balance, right, 18,000, we will claim from ESG. So this is the current package that we have designed and approved by ESG for a pre-approved package, because pre-approved meaning you only pay the unsupported value of the package. The supported value, a vendor like us, the pre-approved vendor like us, will collect or rather will claim from ESG, because we need to do the submission all to them for them to approve in order to disperse the fund to us. Okay, so I think because of the current situation, the COVID-19, situation, a lot of business affected, especially retailers. I mentioned earlier on the MEP, the grant increased from 70% to 90%. If any one of you sign up the MEP with us, right, you are able to go into the BGP, right, the Business Grant Portal, to apply for additional manpower support. 90%, maximum 3 staff, but has to be Singaporean or Singapore PR, directly working on MEP project for a period of 3 months. So you can claim 3 months, maximum 3 staff, 90%. And if you are a retailer, your SSIC, your ACRA, right, have this SSIC code start with 47, right? You can sign up with any one of the appointed marketplace, the channel, like Q10, Lazada, or Shopee. If you are a new seller, there's additional support. It's called the e-commerce booster program. So this is what currently you have until September for your consideration. And of course, recently, Minister Heng Swee Keat, right, announced the package. So there are some package that you have to look into, but of course, the baseline is you must have what you call that? This Pay Now Corporate and e-invoicing as a baseline for you to claim the rest as the rest of the bonuses. So I think with that, right, this is so much that I can share. But however, if you have any more question and you want to know more, the QR code there you can scan. You put in your details. We will reply to you, or you can. My email address is there. You can write. You can email me directly. We can set up another session with you to understand your product, to understand the challenge that you have, or even understand the vision that you have, so that we can see how we can advise you and see how we can help you. That's all I have. I hope that this session with me, you have some good takeaway, and hope that you guys learn something today. It will be I hope that it will be very useful to you. Okay, Tiffany, over to you.
Okay, and thank you, Gordon. Thank you so much. I believe the participants has, been given so much information, and I understand that you all probably also want a presentation deck. So, for those who would like to have the presentation deck, as usual, please scan on the QR code to do a short survey, and the presentation deck will be sent to you by Synagies in a few days' time after editing is done. For those of you who's using your mobile phone now, probably you face a bit of difficulties in scanning the QR code. Not to worry, Singapore Chinese Chamber will also be sending you the link for you to fill up the form. So now let us welcome back, Gordon back for the Q&A session. So as usual, if you have any questions for the speaker, feel free to submit them by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen and type in your questions. And do note that due to the limited time that we have, we may not be able to answer all the Q&A questions. But if you have, if your questions are not being answered, feel free to email Gordon directly, or if you email SCCCI, and we will also forward your questions to them. Okay, so Gordon, we have back you in line. Maybe to start the ball rolling first, I understand that maybe a lot of companies may have the questions on, how do I know whether when is my company supposed to use my own team to manage the different e-commerce platform, or maybe I outsource it, especially when I want to say going global, like what you say, when you're going to different countries, you probably have to know the different cultures, different language, different fulfillment. I see already, I so kia a bit, at the end of the day. So maybe you can elaborate more, like, what is the best practices and benchmark that a company should evaluate? Okay, maybe this is the time I should outsource, to you guys to help out. And from the Q&A, I also can see, is there a way to like pick and choose? Because from what I see that you guys have a whole set of package. So maybe my company, I need one fulfillment site, in the other countries, but I don't need in Singapore. Are they able to pick and choose what they want? So over to you, Gordon.
Okay, I think
Yes.
your first question is always the typical question. I think as you can see the package, the MVP package, right? There's a requirement for the company SME to send their staff or themselves to 3 training program. Because the intention is not just to outsource and someone do it for you. It's also have to learn. And one day when your business scale, you might have learned enough to know how to have a proper team structure that I shared earlier on, that you might even recruit the right people in along the way, not at one time, while someone is helping you to do it and you learn at the same time. So my advice for SME especially is always good to have 1 or 2 staff that because I think now a lot of disruptive business right now in the market. So there are a lot of roles, right? There's no more in use. I give you one example is that I used to have a supplier that has her own warehouse and her own vans, to do the delivery to all her shops. Only last year she stopped doing that. They stopped renting the warehouse. You go on the pay-per-use model. With some logistic people like Singpost, and then of course you engage people like Ninja Van. When there's order, when I need to deliver, then these people will come deliver. So they start doing that. Then what happened to their staff? What happened to the store manager, warehouse manager, and some drivers even. Of course, driver to them is okay. Well, driver will go and take on Grab, become a Grab driver. But what about those people in the warehouse, stuff like that? So they can actually send people for good training. There are a lot of institutions out there that have very good online training. So these suppliers send the staff for this training, and at the end of the day, came back to office to be so-called their online executive, their online business executive. But again, there's still a lot of learning because the learning curve can be very steep. So somehow they work together with us. So we at the end of the day, we handhold them, we do for them, we handhold them, we make them learn as well. Because like I said earlier on, we ourselves as an e-commerce enabler, right? We are learning every single day, So this is one. And then the next question is, of course, the whole package is that comprehensive. It's an end-to-end kind of package. Can you only do Malaysia, not Singapore? Yes. In fact, this package is for SME, right, to go across border. That means go out of Singapore. But there are some companies who want to handle both Singapore context and also Malaysia or other region. Yes, can be done also. But if let's say they want to handle only Singapore, Cannot, because MEP, one of the requirement is that I must sell to at least one overseas market. So this is very important. If not, the balance I can't claim from the government. So I need to help the SM to sell to at least one overseas market.
Okay, I hope the participants have heard it. For those who are maybe thinking how to go overseas and stuff, maybe you guys can explore with Gordon on this MEP program. And with regards to the questions and answer, I can see that there's quite a number of upvotes. To the participants that is looking at the Q&A questions, if there's any similar questions posted by other participants, please click on the thumbs up so that, as a moderator, we'll know that these are the questions that you guys are interested to know on. So I do have a question by Rebecca. I think many of the participants are also in the similar situation where, their company, they already have a local e-marketplace, for example, at Shopee. So are they still, eligible for the MEP program in general?
Yes, yes. To answer Rebecca, right, I think a lot of people like that one. So even now, existingly, you already have account with Shopee, Q10, Lazada. So once you sign this up, right, we will take over the account and manage for you. Okay, then we will manage, and of course, we will throw in all the best practices that first thing we will audit whatever you have done. Then we'll put in recommendation. Upon your approval, right, then we make the changes. For all those people already have existing account with some of the e-marketplaces like Shopee, Q10, Lazada. We will take over the credential from you, then we'll start doing it. Then after that, right, then we'll start to look into other markets. Okay, what are the markets that we want to go in? Try not to be too ambitious, because you can see that the package is only 20,000. There's only 20,000 worth of credit. So what my worry is that when you want to go to too many markets, you might dilute the credits, and then you will not have the kind of impact or the things that you want to do. Yeah. So I think it's always good to focus one step at a time. What market do we want to go? Because we do have a lot of SME. They are very focused and they know what they want. They will tell me, Gordon, my Singapore, all the e-marketplaces are all ready. And in fact, I'm very happy with the result. And I have a current team handling it. Can you help me to build Philippines? Then I ask them, why not Malaysia? No, I'm very sure that I can do Philippines, because right now I have this so-called information that people from Philippines are buying product from me, things like that. So once we have all this answer, right, then the next thing is that I will get all the information and pass to my teammates in Philippines, because I do have a team there, because we have our presence there. So I pass to my teammate over there, then they will do the necessary for you, because it only makes sense for my Filipino colleague over there to work on the Philippine market, not a Singaporean to work on the Philippine market. So I hope I answered that question.
Okay, yeah, you need to have the locals to know what the locals need at the end of the day. Yeah. So moving forward, I have another participant. This one has a lot of votes, upvotes, which I also believe a lot of people want to know. If they wish to enter an overseas market through, Synagie's program, for example, like Indonesia, do they need to establish a legal entity there? Because, like going overseas is quite complex. It's not that easy. Like I just want to go there, do partnership and finish, Maybe what are the considerations like business regulations or anything that they need to be mindful of, especially like the taxation, the taxes, going forward, how it goes about. I think these are complex things that SMEs probably want to know about. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is also another very common one, is that that is the reason why my one of the co-founder decided back then to set up our presence in most of the Southeast Asia country. So we have presence in Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. Especially Indonesia, because Indonesia took us almost a year, very, very long. And it's very tedious to set up an entity there. And for us, we not only setting up the entity there, but also the infrastructure like the warehousing, the integration, stuff like that. So if you want to go into the overseas market, right, those market that we just mentioned, you do not need to set up a legal entity, because you can use our entity, right, to do all the necessary register. But we need you to appoint us. So we need a letter of appointment or authorization from you, right, to authorize us to do that for you. So we will be the importer on records if you are sending your stocks in. Yeah. But before you can send your stocks in, right, we need to make sure that if your product need product registration, then we do the necessary. This can be a long process. It can be short. Some can be 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Some can be as long as 3 to 6 months. Yeah, so it depends. How complex. Indonesia, quite straightforward. Thailand, a little bit tougher. If you want to ship, you want to do a direct import. So the next option that you can have is cross-border drop shipping, door to door. That means I will do it's called B2C. So you can do a pickup in Singapore and deliver to Indonesia, the doorstep of the customer. So we can do that as well. So it's a direct route to direct fulfillment to the end customer. But then that one, there has some limitation. For example, it's for B2C. That means for personal consumption. So for example, you cannot buy like a laptop. That means let's say this transaction got 5 laptops. I don't think this will go through because no one person can use 5 laptops. So things like that. Contact lens, maybe you buy 3 years supplies, maybe cannot go through because I don't think you will buy three years supplies, you see, because there's expiry date. So cross-border drop shipping door to door, right? The B2C model, there's always this so-called the constraint, as in how big is the volume value, and then the next thing is how big is the volume, because it can be very heavy. Right? For example, you're selling drinks, right? Then you ship the cans of drink over, then you want to sell in cartons. It can be very heavy because it's going to air freight. But to answer your question, if you go through us, there's no, in those regions that I have specifically mentioned, right? There's no need for you to set up any legal entity. We can do it for you upon you issue us the letter of authorization.
Okay, I hear from you there, Gordon. Maybe just to add on, is there a difference, like, when different products being shipped to a different country, like, does it makes a difference in terms of like the duration or complexity, everything, or it's quite straightforward lah, at the end of the day for the different products?
Okay. Health and beauty product, even beauty product, there's a lot of subcategory like skincare, things like that. Sometimes you need to know certain country, they want to know whether it's halal or not. You need to have the halal cert. So there's sometimes this can be quite complex. Some liquid cannot be sent over. For example, fashion. When you talk about fashion category, everybody will say, fashion very easy. No need to do testing, this and all that. But fashion, they want to look at the label. Some label that is too popular, like to them, they consider this label is a big brand, right? You might have this duty tax that need to pay, and then your tax might be higher. But so far for SME Singapore, we don't face this issue unless your brand right now is some Singapore brand also can be very popular in places like Indonesia. So they will take them as an international brand. Like for example, Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder go to this country will be very, very expensive because they will have high import tax and even duties that they have to pay.
Okay, can share. Thanks, Gordon. I hope that answers majority of the participants' information. Okay, I do see another one by Tian Wei. Suddenly is catching up the ranks in terms of the Q&A down there. So Tian Wei has a question that they are currently a distributor in Thailand. Does Synagie provide advice to which marketplace platform to enter for the market of choices, as some markets like Thailand has Kaiti, Lazada and Shopee? I think this is a very interesting thing. Like for example, if I'm having a certain product, will Synagie be able to provide or advise me that, hey, actually maybe you want to try about this market, maybe because down there the culture tends to like the products in particular, or should I try like the local marketplaces like Kaiti, or like when you're saying in Indonesia they have another different set of local marketplaces, or should I go with the international kind? So maybe we'll have Gordon to address this.
Yeah, there are local marketplace. For example, you have in Vietnam you have Tiki.vm. In Indonesia you have Tokopedia. I mean, you have all the local one. So for us, right, when we are foreigner, so we're going to sell into the market. Our consideration is always how strong is this local marketplace. To be very honest with you, in Vietnam, right, we have list onto some platform in Vietnam, a local marketplace, and the next day they can just close door. Then our customer buy money pay to them. So for us, how we still have to pay to our customer. You know what I mean? So we are very careful in this sense, where how we're going to ensure that the money will still come back to us, because we do have the obligation to pay the money back to our client. So this is something that we'll consider. And as of which market, yes, once we understand more about your product, and of course, we also need to work along your business strategy, then we will advise which market to go in first. I will not say that some market don't go this and all that, but somehow some market you might want to delay a little bit. For example, maybe certain product, like for certain product like in the F&B category, right? I would say that Vietnam, maybe you put on hold for a while, because this kind of category most of the time is out from Vietnam rather than into Vietnam. Yeah. Then some product you can go into Vietnam, like maybe even like health and beauty range. Indonesia by and large is very easy. Most of the product can go in. Apparel, yes, also a huge market because the reach is very rich there, so not an issue. Thailand for health product or even beauty will have certain challenge. So I might say that, okay, while we're doing Indonesia product, maybe Thailand will carry on to do all the documentation, all the due diligence, things like that, because it will take you a while. Rather than we do Thailand and wait, why don't we work on one market, and while we are registered, doing all the documentation for Thailand. Yeah. This is something that we will always advise. We always will provide that kind of business advisory, but however, the business decision still lies on the SME.
Okay, Ken, sure. I think for many of the SME companies down there, you know, if you want to deep dive to see whether your company product is suitable for which market, or whether is it time for you to engage Synagie services, or how do you, you know, go across border with the minimum risk in place, probably you can just drop Gordon an email so that they can set up a one-to-one meeting to see in details about your company as to give proper advice moving forward there. Okay, I have the other, due to limited number of time, probably we're going to take the last two questions, and you know, we are so sorry the rest of the participants, we are not able to answer the questions. You know, we will actually email Gordon all the questions that you have. So for those who did not, you know, for those who post your questions as a non-anonymous, Gordon will be able to reply your via email moving forward. So next question I have by CS Lim. He wants to know what competitive advantage your platform have over the others. So I think it's a bit of, you know, telling what's good about Synagie's. Yep.
Okay, I must say that it's not a competitive advantage. I must say that all of us are so-called pre-approved by ESG for this particular MEP. So all of us must make sure that we meet all the requirements that we must do. But the only difference is that my package is 20,000. I think most of them are 25,000 if I'm not wrong. Because I don't do secret shopper survey on them. So, but I think the end-to-end is there. What I can say about us is that from day one when we started providing end-to-end service to a lot of company, like a lot of big, in fact, all of them are from MNC company, international brand, Estee Lauder, Shiseido, Kimberly-Clark, you know, Johnson & Johnson, Henkel, this and all that. From the very day one. It's only after that we realized that we ourselves, Synagie ourselves, become not efficient and not productive, because we are also managing multi-channel for the client. So every channel we will have one staff. So let's say this client have 4 channels, we have 4 staff. So you end up becoming not efficient and productive. So the other co-founder developed this cloud-based platform called Synagie, okay, to use one platform to work on multi-channel. So we are like that. Some of the vendor, they started off knowing that a lot of company has this problem managing multi-channel. So they develop a system for people to subscribe so that they can subscribe the system to use their system to manage multi-channel. And because of this package that we need to provide end-to-end, so they come in to say that, okay, to design this package together, to say that, okay, I will also provide the end-to-end for you. But this is something that I leave it to you in terms of the track record, in terms of how you're going to evaluate who is better or not. We are listed on 8th of August 2018. So our result can be shown then, can be seen there. So this is for me, because we are not here to be competitor. We are appointed by ESG to come out here, because ESG wanted to appoint 5 because this magic number 5 is because ESG has this huge target that none of us alone can handle these SMEs. So in order for this grant can enjoy and make sure that a lot more, most of the SME can enjoy and take on this online presence and go overseas, right? So we must have more vendors so we can cover more SME. So the whole entire intention is not to compete with each other. The whole entire intention is to help as many SME as possible.
Okay, thanks, Gordon. I hope that answers CS Lim question. Okay, I'm going to pick up the last two questions to combine into one. Okay, after you have said so much, you know, giving advice to all the SMEs itself at the end of the day, I think, you know, with one of the questions being said, is there a centralized tool to manage accounts and products on multiple e-commerce portal? I think what this participant is trying to mean is that, for example, as an SME company, I now got 200 different products. Maybe I got 4 different market channels, never even include overseas. Like, how do I go about? Is it that once I go on board with Synagie, I have one dashboard, I just, you know, key in my one product description and pop, you know, all my Q10, Lazada, Shopee, everywhere will appear, you know, my this one product, like, you know, just DIY yourself? Or, you know, how do I go about for it? And after that, you know, the other participants' question is more on the warehouse fulfillment area, whether Synagies run your own warehouse for fulfillment. So let's say, you know, moving forward, if they have the product, do they put it with Synagie, or, you know, do they have to have their own warehouse, you know, and then once there's products come in, you know, that want to buy their services, does Synagie do the fulfillment, or they have to own self go and find their own fulfillment to, you know, finish to get the products out itself? So I think we'll combine these two to give a whole overall broad of what Synagies can help in everything from the start to the end services, and we'll end off the whole event.
All right. I think the first thing about the centralized tools, right? Synagie, we'll work on Synagie in terms of order management system and also inventory management system. And then, of course, after inventory management system, right, it will go route to warehouse management system. So it's actually one seamless approach. That is on the condition that your stock part at my warehouse, so that we are able to manage seamlessly. Okay, so there's one system that manage multi-channel. But having said that, right, all the channels has always upgrading their version, throwing new tools. So there are times whereby this integration might be desynced. That's why we have a separate IT so-called division is always on the 24/7 to make sure that our system are always synced with the multi-channel. But of course, we have to be mindful that all the different channels are consistently updating or upgrading their system. So this part here, no matter what kind of system, how centralized it is, there's always this ongoing process of upgrading our own version. But while doing that, the transition, sometimes we might need to work on the back-end system of the seller center, of the channel. But we try to keep it as minimal as possible. Of course, all the very tedious job like uploading of product, this and all that. And the very important one is when you have multi-channel, then how are you going to update the inventory? So this one, we update in the Synagie system. Let's say you have 100 pieces, you just put this SKU 100 pieces on Synagie system, and then it will appear in all the multi-channel as 100. Yeah, so you do not need to allocate like Q10 50, maybe Shopee not so fast 20, Lazada 30. No need to do all this kind of allocation. You just have to park that 100 pieces and making sure that physically you have 100 pieces. You updated this quantity on Synagie, it will push this quantity out to the multi-channel that you are on, and then it will appear there. Then when the sales come in, right, it will be on the first come first serve basis. So for example, the first buyer buy on Shopee, it become 99. Everywhere will appear 99. So this is how it goes. Yeah, so for the inventory, and then of course once the sales comes in, right, then that's where the order management system will kick in to manage this order to process, so that the warehouse management system will get the signal to do the pick and pack and eventually trigger a signal to the last mile delivery, so that the last mile vendor will come over outside to do the collection and eventually deliver. So this is how it goes. So I think this one, what I just shared, right, also answer the second part of the question a little bit. So now I move on to, can you use your own warehouse? Yes, we do have SME, right? that use their own warehouse due to the complexity of their stocks. Because some of their stocks like Yao Cai, because I also handle TCM product, their business is medical hall. So they have all the Yao Cai, right? So I cannot keep that. I also don't want to keep that. So they will have first a special facility to keep those stocks. So they will use their own warehouse. So when they use their own warehouse, some part of the synchronization or in the integration will not be there. But however, we will be the one manage for you. But you just have to do the pick and pack for us, and then the last mile delivery will go to your place to do the collection and deliver. That's all. So everything will still be done by us. Even if you want to do your own, use your own warehouse. For fulfillment, it's always good to use the vendor, the channel vendor, the appointed vendor. It's easier that way because even the channels, their system is also plugged into their system already. So in order not to have any hiccups in terms of getting the signal to deliver, to pick and pack, right? It's always better to use the channel, the appointed vendors. Most of them will be like J&T, Ninja Van, or Simpos. So it's always the same group of people. However, the fee is always around there, not so much of a variance. And for overseas one, right? Overseas, if let's say you use our own warehouse, then we do the drop shipping door-to-door format, right? Then of course, once we process the order, the first mile, last mile vendor will come and pick up from us and deliver to maybe Indonesia or Thailand to the customer doorstep. So that's one way. Or they will go to your warehouse to pick up after you pick and pack and then deliver to the doorstep of customer in Indonesia. Or another one will be you send your stocks over to my warehouse there, and then we'll do domestic fulfillment, something similar to the Singapore context.
Okay, Ken, sure. Thanks, Gordon. Thanks so much. I believe that's answer majority of participants. So sorry because we do not have much time left. So we have come to the end of the presentation, and a big thank you to Gordon for his time and valuable sharing today. So we hope that all the participants have benefited a lot from the webinar. For those of you who wants the presentation deck, do remember to scan on the QR code to fill up a little short survey so that Gordon Synagie, that site, will be able to send to you the presentation deck in a few days time later. Okay, so without further ado, we have come to the end of the presentation. But upon when you guys are exiting and leaving from the webinar itself, please help us to do a quick survey feedback form by clicking onto the link that will appear after you leave this webinar session, so that in future SCCCI can tailor better events for you too. So we look forward to seeing you again in our future events, and stay safe and stay healthy. So thank you everyone. Have a nice day ahead, and see you in our future event. Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Thanks for today's event.
Bye.
Thank you.